I asked some of you what your biggest fears are over on Twitter, just to kind of gauge some of the responses. And some of the answers were things like spiders, talking to people, divorce, losing that connection, pain, all things that are very relatable. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about fear because I think fear is something that controls people so much in their daily lives. Not everybody, but a lot of people. And I think with everyone, no matter who you are, there's always some kind of fear in the background that can, worm its way into your day and change the trajectory of what you're doing, how things are going. It's something that can turn a very pleasant day into one that is very, very horrible, downtrodden, sad, and eerie as you kind of sit there with that thought in the back of your head. And this is something I've been dealing with a lot recently. I'd like to make a separate video in the future talking about seasonal depression. I have depression issues. I don't pretend I don't. But for me, this time of year kind of exacerbates those things. It makes them a little bit bigger. And when it comes to fear, that kind of plays into it as well. And I've noticed one thing in the world is that everyone is afraid of something, really. And those fears can have a major impact on your life. And one that recently had a very big impact on me, we're going to do a vague story time here to kind of talk about this, was an encounter I had with someone who I thought was one of my friends. Now, you might notice a pattern here. I think I don't make friends easily, but I think I make the wrong friends often. And that's kind of a problem that I have, where I think I can trust people or think that people are looking out for me or have my best interest at heart when they don't. And because of that, I have always had a fear of, one, opening up to the wrong people, but also, two, losing friendships and ending up alone, right? That's a fear I think a lot of people have in life, is to end up all by themselves and not have any help from anyone, not have anyone they relate to, not have anyone that they can talk to or spend time with, really, that is an actual friend. I think no matter what age you are, whether you're 15 or 85, especially because of the internet, there's always a way to meet people and find somebody, right? And there's always a way to find an acquaintance. The problem is that an acquaintance isn't always a friend. Friendships have varying levels with a lot of people. But for me, when I'm very good friends with someone, it's because I do want to spend time with them. It's because I do connect with them, and I do actually value them and appreciate their opinions and thoughts and presence in my life. And recently I had a friend who basically, and I have to word my words carefully. What am I doing out here? I just woke up from a nap. That should be my bigger fear, taking too many naps, missing out on my day. But I had someone who I thought was my friend, who I thought was looking out for me, that I found out had said a lot of very not nice stuff behind my back. Stuff about my channel and how what I do will never be successful in life, how I'm not successful now, and rely on the charity of others basically to get by because I can't be successful on my own, because I make the wrong decisions with the type of videos I make or the type of things I cover or when I upload and stuff like that, and about how they would do it just so much better if they were in my shoes. And I found out they were saying a lot of this stuff to a mutual friend we had, who is still my friend, but I should say I don't think that this person was very good friends to them either. But anyways, I found out that they were saying a lot of this stuff to a mutual friend of mine and talking about my personal problems to them and complaining about me in general. And it just really stuck with me, it just really hurt me in an interesting way that I wasn't really expecting, because this was someone who I thought was very good friends with me, who I thought that I could trust, who I thought had my best interests at heart and was wanting me to succeed, right? This was someone, when I have friends, the way I always look at it is that I try and build my friends up, and I want the same out of them. Now, there are certainly things that I don't expect to be reciprocated. For example, if you're my friend and I buy you a pizza because I'm being nice, that doesn't mean that I have a overwhelming desire and expectation of damn it, next time I see you, you better buy me a pizza. Obviously, if I'm just doing something nice for you, that's cool. It's nice when people do nice things for me too, but I don't sit around and expect those monetarily or with time. I just want to have a friend, hang out, spend some time, build each other up, make each other feel better, and have a positive relationship. And that's the kind of relationship I think everyone really looks for in a friend or partner, unless they're into all that degrading stuff, like a step on me mommy type stuff, in which case I will not judge you at all. I totally understand. When all of this came out, I pretty immediately severed ties with this person because I did verify that all this stuff was true, that this stuff had been said, that there wasn't really any embellishing going on, that the source of it was a fair and unbiased source that actually wouldn't lie about that, wouldn't make things up, and would tell the truth on it, because I think that's important too. I'm not one of those people where it's like somebody says so-and-so did something, so therefore you have to believe them no matter what, even if there's overwhelming proof they didn't. I think that kind of mindset is how we ended up with Johnny Depp, borderline losing his career for a while, right? The idea of just believe people because they say so. I'm not in that camp either, but I did verify that all of this was true and looked into it and found out that it was, and it was a real situation that really bothered me. It really stuck with me. And the last few days I've been thinking about it, because one of my fears too is to be unsuccessful, right? Is to put all this time and effort and work on the line to constantly try and make videos and do things, but to not see success out of it, right? One of my big fears is that hard work doesn't necessarily equal success, because that's something we've seen in the world where there are people who work their ass off and they don't find success in life. They struggle very, very much day to day despite doing good things, despite having a positive impact on people, and then they die in poverty or mediocrity or whatever, only to maybe be discovered later on, and honestly, sometimes maybe not. Some people, their talents or their work are never really appreciated. And so to hear someone that I thought cared about me and wanted me to be successful say these things about me, about how I would never be successful and how I would never make anything out of myself and how I was a lost cause, basically, and that anytime I aired a frustration about something, I was too dramatic. To kind of hear that stuff about myself from someone really stuck with me and made me fear, basically, is that true? This is already a fear I have of being unsuccessful, and something I've talked to all of you about with the channel in the past probably year is that the success of this channel is very much all over the place, and there's really not a lot I can do about that. A lot of it has to do with how the YouTube algorithm has gone into only promoting channels that have a very specific niche, right? And that niche can't even be broad. So your niche couldn't be video games. It has to be a specific type. You can still grow. You absolutely can still grow. I gain new subscribers every day without that very specific niche, but the growth is much, much, much slower. I've noticed even over on my wife's channel, Magical Jill, where she does a lot of more what would be considered, I guess, stereotypically feminine stuff like doll reviews and things like that. Her growth, percentage-wise, is more statistically stable than mine, even though it's at a much lower level, right? She doesn't have 200 subscribers yet. By the way, if you or a family member or friend would be interested in checking her channel out, the link is in the description down below. Very fun stuff. I'm the cameraman over there, so I get to flex my muscles in a different way with cameraman and editing. Regardless, it's something that I notice where the people with that specific niche do grow much quicker. And so to hear this about me really hurt, because this was someone who also would always encourage me on these things and tell me how, it would be all right and I'd do better and this and that, and how, I just got to keep trying, but then would be also the person discouraging me behind my back. And that fear of failure and lack of success and going nowhere, I guess, mixed with the failure of losing friends and not, maintaining those relationships. I think all of that together really sort of boiled over in the last few days and left me without a big sense of purpose, without a lot of interest in creating, without a lot of interest in getting up out of bed, honestly. And I know that that's not a great way to handle stress or to handle fear or failure or depression or any of that. The really good ways to do that are hard work and pushing through and talking to people. And that's actually one reason I wanted to make this video, was to kind of get it out there, because it does make me feel better to tell you guys this kind of stuff. Despite the people, who always use it as an opportunity to attack anyone who opens up in any tiny way on the internet, I do think that those people can mostly be ignored, because the vast majority of people are kind and do care. And these things really stuck with me and really affected my last, I would say, almost week of time. And every day, I've been more obsessive of the numbers, right? Of, well, this video didn't do good. What did I do wrong? Maybe that person was right. Maybe that person was right that I am a failure, that I'm not doing things right, and that I'm not going anywhere. And I think it's really sad but interesting how much those fears can affect us. That's time I won't get back. That last week where I have been frustrated and sad and upset and worried about my future. Now, yes, these worries and concerns will always be there, but to let them affect me in that way, right, and drag down my day almost every day for, I would say, the last week, that's not time I will get back. And I don't really want to live like that, I've been thinking about how to deal with fear and how to deal with this situation for myself. And I don't know if any nugget of knowledge or wisdom will, be found for you in a fear you deal with. I'm not sure. But for me, what I want to do with this situation is use it as an opportunity to prove people wrong. Because I get this sort of thing all the time. I get this sort of sentiment. The only reason it hurt was because it was someone who I thought believed in me and cared about me, right? It's sort of like how if somebody on the street calls you ugly, well, that's not very nice. But if somebody who, like if your mother did it, or like your father or your partner, right, said you're really ugly and like meant it, those kinds of words can hurt more because they're from a source that you're not expecting meanness from, you're not expecting negativity and an attempt to drag you down from. And because of that, I think that it's, it's like et tu, Brute, right? It's like Julius Caesar, where you're never expecting the knife to come from your friend. You're always expecting it from outside. You're on guard. You're maybe a little bit concerned or careful about who you open up to new and where you go and what you do, because you want to guard yourself and make sure within reason that you don't open yourself up to being unnecessarily attacked by people. But when the knife comes from someone you care about, I think that opens up a whole new layer of fear. And I think that an important thing that I'm trying to learn how to do in my own life is to use those fears as motivators, to use them as something to push on and do something with and make something of myself with, and not allow them to control me, not allow them to waste every day, not allow them to seep into the back of my mind and affect my creative integrity and my moral integrity and my day-to-day living, because that affects myself, that affects the people around me, that affects my potential, that affects how I will live my days if I will just sit at home and feel sorry for myself versus go out and do things. It affects my attempts at growth and whether or not I want to take any kind of risks in life, right? Because I could just easily, for my case, capitalize on some niche, never do anything else, just push it, make a bunch of money. Then when the channel dies, I just take that money, invest it, and just don't look back, right? But to me, doing YouTube, making stuff, talking to you guys, it's more than that. It's more than capitalizing on some niche, milking it, and then throwing it away and investing my money. It's something that I just want to do long term because I enjoy it. I enjoy making things. I enjoy talking to you. I have a passion for it. And this is the first job I've ever done where I haven't hated it, and hated the people I've worked with and hated the responsibility of doing things. It's the first time I've ever felt that way. And so for me, I don't really want to throw that out. And I could throw it out very easily, just say that person was right about me and ditch it. But I feel like at the end of the day, that just makes that person right. That just makes that person win. And in my life, I don't want to prove people who are detractors of me, people who, I hate the word hater because I think that it's overused to just dismiss any criticism at all, whereas there is valid criticism of me and anything else, like any ideology, any company, any brand, any person, any idea. There are valid criticisms of them. There are, that are not just from haters, but actual true people who want to bring me down, right? Actual haters who don't have a real good reasoning, but they need to be bigger than you by making you smaller, you know? Really just the online or modern day adult example of a playground bully, really. They need to make people around them smaller to make themselves bigger. I don't want to make those people a winner, you know? I don't want to let those people rule me, rule my life, and ruin my potential because it's not worth it. They don't deserve that power over me. They don't deserve that, I guess I would say, rent-free living space in my head. That's not something that they've earned. And I want to make people regret when they throw out a friendship with me or when they throw out my potential or what I'm capable of, because obviously you can always go behind people's backs, say mean stuff about them, you know, really hurt them in that way. But what I mean by this is not that. What I mean by this is I want to make those people later on look at me and say, I was wrong. That person's successful. What did I do wrong? You know, why am I not there? Because I don't like the idea of, I consider myself a kind person. I don't want to say nice because I don't want to end up on r/nice guys, but I don't like the idea of people who can be kind and can be good in the world and can make a difference and can make things, giving up and letting fear rule them because people around them prey on those fears. And I guess the reason I wanted to talk about this today was, one, to get things off my chest, but two, to kind of say in your life, whoever's watching this, I hope that you don't let people do that to you. I hope that you don't let people detract you and take you down a peg and discourage you from the positive, good things in life that you can do and the job you want to do, right? The work you want to do and the people you want to be friends with and what you want to be. You know, this is something that people do at every level, right? It goes from simple things like friendships to things like snide comments about being gay and discouraging people from talking about their feelings and who they are, to mean comments about what company you keep, who your friends are, to attacks on your character, to attacks on your beliefs that make you want to not talk about those things and never open up. And I hope that you don't allow people to rule you in that way, because I really do think in a lot of ways, even if that's not directly what they want, right? Even if they're not an evil mastermind who just wants you to go off and die alone in a ditch, you are letting them win when you let them bring you down for a long period of time and hurt your life. And that's not something I want for myself. That's not something I want for you, whoever's watching this, no matter who you are. And I hope that something I said today, I don't know, connected in some way. Because really, I'm not like a professor, you know? I don't consider myself ultra intelligent. I just like getting on here and talking sometimes. That's the whole point of the Real Talks series, where we just talk about something that's, you know, either going on in my life or that I think could be helpful in some way to somebody out there and interesting. So thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you listening. It means a lot to me. If you want to help support the channel, you know, just leaving a like, commenting on stuff, that helps a lot. I'm really trying to grow. I'm really trying to do my best to prove people wrong who pretty much seem like they want me to fail or are content with me failing. I don't plan to fail in life at different things. I don't go into things with the ideology and idea that I will fail. I go into them with the idea that I will succeed, that I'm capable of success. And I know that you all are too. No matter what you're struggling with and dealing with, you are capable of success. And so I wish you well on that. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts down below on this, on maybe your fears and how those affect you, maybe something going on in your life similar, or just what you think. I'm very interested to hear. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I do appreciate that, and that helps me out very much, more than you even know. Also, if you are interested in supporting the channel, there are ways to do it. We do have Patreon. I have channel memberships over on my second channel, Degenerate Plays. And then, of course, my wife, Jill, she's been working very, very hard on a lot of different art stuff, which I think is really, really cool. Like, for example, recently she helped save a lot of different comic book paper that was getting thrown out from comic books that had been trashed and destroyed and that were getting tossed in the garbage. And she found ways to incorporate them into art to make something transformative and interesting, like coasters and keychains and other things like that. I believe she's also working on ashtrays. And then, of course, she has her unique pieces that have nothing to do with that, like her Halloween skulls and teddy bears and things. So really, really cool stuff over on her website, enchantedglamour.com. Gonna have the link down below in the description. I hope you all have a fantastic day. And as always, everyone, stay shui.